free, no-obligation assessment that may prove fruitful in 2017. Walsh would remind our listeners that investments in futures contracts bear the risk of loss and may not be suitable for all investors. Be sure to review your financial situation before investing with Walsh Trading, Inc. info@walshtrading.com. Call 1-800-993-5449. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Are you kidding me? Who told you that?
It's a known fact.
No. Incorrect. Incorrect. You are absolutely incorrect.
Everybody knows at school.
There's always three sides to a story: his, hers, and the truth. Welcome to He Said, She Said, South Florida Style, starring Amy Schreibman and Mike L. Mudici.
Typical caveman response.
Logic versus illogic.
Yes, and apparently I am the only one with logic in the room.
My wife tells me that all the time.
Exactly.
Listen to learn more about what he said and about what she said.
How does Noah deal with this?
He deals with it very well because I am in charge,
Understood.
as most women are.
Not in my household.
Oh, please, please stop it now.
No, Abby's in charge
You're damn right she's in charge.
when she's home with the kids.
And maybe, just maybe, you can pick a side. And now, here's Dr. Amy Schreibman and Mike L. Mudici with our show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to He Said, She Said. I am here in a situation, leg shot, Freddie, leg shot, get the leg shot out. I'm here with two guests, and my co-host Mike, guess what? He's in the Dominican Republic, but he's calling in. So we're all here together. I have Blake, the engineer, is here today, and Brittany was supposed to be here, but she got ill, and she's in the emergency room, so we have Erica with us. Erica Quiroga is a nurse. You know Blake, the engineer, the one I'm in love with. So maybe not love, lust, but that's all we're going to say. Michael, are you on the air?
Cougar, huh?
Yes, I am. Tonight I am a cougar, full blown, honey. Look at him. He's gorgeous. So talk to me. What's going on, Mike? How's the DR?
The DR is wonderful. You guys should, we got to do a show down here. This is where we should do the show, on the beach. Everybody has a
I'm sure
6x60,
Abby and Noah would just
drinks.
appreciate that. We'll just go down to the DR. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go.
You know what? We should do it.
Yeah,
We'll retreat.
Yeah. Okay.
Get Freddie.
What do I do with my children? Have a plan for that?
Kids.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
that's your problem.
so let's talk. We have two lovely millennials here. I like to call them the cupcake generation, but that's just me. I don't even remember how old they are because I'm so old. I don't even remember being that young. But I want to ask you, I have you here this evening because A, you're very cute and you're beautiful. But our demographic also is in your age group. I need to understand the dating situation.
So do I.
Yeah, okay. That's a good question. But I have many friends in my age group who are single and they go on the Match.com thing. And one
Amy,
of my
what age group is that, Amy?
old age. We're Pumalicious
Sorry,
people.
I had to throw
And
that
they're
in
a
there.
match. And one situation just recently happened that a friend met somebody who said he was this person, and then thank you, a friend of mine named Ron helped me find out that he was not that person. He was somebody else. So I think they call it catfishing, right?
Yes.
So they do that. How is it for you guys? Like, I even heard that when girls go out on girls' night out, if a man approaches you, it's not a good thing for the man to do?
Well, it depends on if
That's-
the girl's interested on the guy or not, because then you
Okay.
have all the other friends kind of interjecting. And
So if, like, I was out with my girlfriends and a guy came, being your age, and a guy came up to me, is that if I was interested, it's okay to talk to him?
yeah, I
Okay.
would say so.
Because I was told that it's not, women usually tell them to go away.
Well, the friends usually do.
Okay.
The friends usually do. They usually interject
I
if they
don't
don't think
understand.
they approve of him.
Oh, I see. That is the most ridiculous thing
but
I've
do-
ever
do
heard of in my
women
life. What do you
Do the
think?
women ever? I have to interrupt you here. I'm sorry, but
Go.
do the women ever interrupt the guys for the guys' night out?
Yes, I've had friends, actually many friends, who do that when they're single.
Well, of course you do.
I personally don't. I think the
And
guy should
Blake-
approach.
I think the guy should
Blake, let me
approach
ask you a
too. I'm
question.
very
Would you
old-fashioned,
turn
but you
him
could
away?
wave. No, Michael? If I waved at
What
you,
was
would
that?
you wave back?
I'd wave it back.
No, all right, seriously.
Blake,
So what is it
would
like for you
would
guys?
turn him away?
What did you say?
Blake, would you turn her away?
Absolutely
If she
not.
came and you're out, buddy?
Not stupid. He's on air. What is he going to say? Inside, he's probably going to kill me. No, but I want to know seriously. What is it like? Like, how do you meet people today?
It's very difficult, especially if you're a professional, you're busy, you don't have a group of friends that you can go out with like you did in college or
Right.
in your younger years, and it's a lot more difficult to meet someone in a real life situation.
Okay.
That's why there are those apps and those websites and those sorts of things, because it just makes things a lot easier for people that aren't able to necessarily work a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 and then they go out on the weekends kind of thing.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes and no. I mean, it's kind of also made our generation more lazy trying to meet people. I've had last date I was on, the guy was actually on one of the apps, kind of meeting with girls because it makes a certain sound. So I think everyone.
I have a lot of questions.
That's terrible.
No, I think that would be like a guy on a date in my time checking out somebody else while he's on the date with you.
Basically.
Which has
Yeah.
happened. Not to me, but it has happened. Yes, it has happened to me. I'm only kidding. But so explain about it's very difficult for me to understand because I was just listening and reading about texting and dating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand that texting is the way you guys communicate.
Largely.
I find it very impersonal. But again, I'm older, so I don't understand it. But I understand people are, if you're texting somebody for a long period of time, that's considered dating that person? That's insane. But
It
go ahead.
depends. Yeah, I don't
It's a-
consider it that.
You don't?
No.
Do you consider
There are still people that are of our age group that are not of the same, like, that think older.
Okay.
I don't think that's someone that's dating.
Okay.
I mean, maybe you're kind of talking to them, sort of, interested in
But
them,
not a
getting
date.
to know each other.
Right.
But I mean, dating, that's
I agree. But I was just listening to, because I have teenage kids and they listen to certain radio stations, and they had this whole discussion that some people text through, Tinder. I believe is it called Tinder? Am I correct? I don't know these things. But I would kill myself if I had to date now and do that because I like seeing the people. Like, but I understand too, it's a little different. You guys work very crazy hours. You're a nurse and you work 12-hour shifts and it's hard. You are in entertainment, so it's very difficult for you as well. So how do you sort it out? How do you know? Do you meet in public places? When
Are you saying when you meet someone off of
how do
something
you
like
know
this?
when you're going to meet somebody? Like what do you say? What do you do? How does that all work?
Ask them out.
You just ask them.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, to me, I mean, it's the same as meeting someone in a real life scenario. You just happen to that's your introduction to them, but then this should be the same kind of communication.
Okay, as a woman, do you go to a public place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and now it's more of meeting for drinks instead of dinner, so it's
Dinner's
kind of
long.
more.
I agree with that.
Yeah. it's
Well,
more-
also, I mean, from a guy's perspective, there's too many. It's such a blind scenario that it's difficult to say, hey, I'm going to go spend $50-$60 on someone that I probably may never see
Interesting.
again or not really compatible with. It's just, I might be interested in
Oh,
them.
an interesting concept.
So it's like, while I might want to take someone to dinner, I mean, unless you kind of know, hey, this is someone I want to try to,
Okay, I like
do something with.
very
It's like, it's
interesting,
hard
the
to.
economic factor. In our day, you had no choice. You took the chick to dinner and that was it. Who pays?
I always try to go Dutch in a sense in the beginning, but in the back of my mind, I'm expecting them to pick the tab up
Yeah, me
for the
too.
first time, and then maybe after that, if you want to go for
How
a
do you feel
second,
about
split
that?
it.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I go out with the girl, I'm definitely going to pay for her.
I like that.
But, after that,
it.
I mean, not that I wouldn't pay again, but I would like to see at least like an effort.
Really? See, I got to be honest with you, old lady talking. If you pay, if you take the money on the first date, deal breaker. If you take the money ever again, deal breaker. What do you think? No, that's not true. No, not in the beginning. Like you got to
Amy,
court
you're really
me.
showing
You
your
got to
age.
wine and dine me. That's how I feel.
But I'll give you an example. So
ahead.
one time I went out with a girl for lunch,
Okay.
and then I went out with a girl for dinner.
Yeah.
And then we went out for some drinks, and then she finally, at that point, tried to pay, but she bought herself a drink.
She didn't pay for
She
you.
didn't pay for me.
Oh, that's
Oh,
not
yeah.
nice.
No, it was insane. I never went out with her again.
Yeah, that's not-
But
That's
you know,
not
it's
nice.
it's tough.
I gotta say, I don't know. Noah and I date. I never paid for anything, but I have to say, like, when do you know to have a date at home or to have like our second date? He was a medical student, so I knew he was poor. And I said, come to my house. I'll make you dinner. Had I had
He
known
was
this.
thinking, sure, I'll have dinner over the house.
No, and he did. He came. He did. He came over, and it was like a whole big thing. I made
Dinner, dessert.
No,
blah, blah,
Now
blah.
it's different. Now it's Netflix and chill is like what they say for our
Netflix and
generation,
chill.
which means something completely different than actually
Well,
cooking
but
dinner
no,
for
he
somebody.
just cooked and then he went home. He was very much a gentleman, and then he knew then at that night that I was the one. I was smart with the cooking. But do you do that now? Like, do you go and hang out? And is sex expected on a date when you do a home date?
Yes.
Close to
Oh,
it,
I don't care for that.
or close
I
to
don't,
it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this: as a girl and as a guy. No, don't laugh, Mike, because you have children too. If you, are you
I'm just like-
first of all,
Amy,
we all
I'm just
having
like- Amy,
protected sex because that's
I have
very
to- I have to
important.
interrupt.
Don't you cover
Amy.
no glove, no love. Either
I work
way.
in the ER. The
I
things
have
you
to-
see.
Yeah, so exactly. But do you? So if a girl puts out on the first or second date, is that a deal breaker? And how do you feel about if a guy who wants to have that kind of relationship on the first or second date?
I think guys nowadays expect that because girls in my generation kind of give it in a sense. I personally have different morals and I'm not like that. So if it's perceived that way, it kind of is a turn off a little bit because
Okay.
I don't really try to put myself out there like that.
Okay, and how do you feel
I
as
mean,
a guy? Honest. It's okay.
it's one of these things where, I mean, to me, it's almost like on a case by case basis.
Okay.
I mean, it's like you have a different connection with every person.
Do you
it's like,
think, do you, as a guy, do you think that somebody who you have sex with on a first or second date, would you continue dating that person? Or do you just look at it as a hookup? Using the big words now.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you know,
Is that the girl you're going to take home to mother? That's what I'm...
it might be.
Okay.
You know, I feel like it's difficult to judge someone just based on that
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Because it's
I
different.
think also, too, your generation is very less uptight about sex.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
When
Amy, we were brought up in a whole different generation.
you're another,
We're just so
but
old.
you're different
We are
from me
so
too.
old.
You know, but I also grew up in a different kind of. My parents would have lost their minds thinking that I was out in the street doing something like that. But and we're like my mother used to say, if you come home with trouble meant pregnant. She told us she was going to set us on fire. So like that kind of was a deterrent on having sex. But I also think that for women, sex is a very different. And I'm talking about my generation. Sex was a very different thing, in as far as you gave that to your husband, or at least you were engaged, And today, which is nothing wrong with that, you guys are a lot more free about the sexual mores of what's going on. So I'm curious as to, are your parents' fault that did that, or are you guys just?
Social media.
You think it's social media?
It's more of the instant gratification because when you're doing a Tinder profile or Instagram or whatever, a lot of girls and guys are even posting more provocative pictures for more likes and more attention.
Okay.
And people think that, now it's just like an instant gratification where I can always update because I'm with a girl who's pretty, but this girl I just matched a couple days ago is more attractive. So I'm just going to put this one to the side and see if the other girl's cuter.
Well, I mean, the whole thing's superficial. I mean, you're
Yeah.
basically moving
What-
a picture left or right, and that's determining whether you have the ability to talk to them.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
What are
I
the
think I
dating-
might
what
have
are
to
the
do
dating
this.
sites?
it's all based off looks.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, but let me say this. I'm going to be honest with you. When you're out I never went to a bar. I swear to God, the men would just appear. I was very lucky that way. Noah just appeared out of nowhere. The other guys that I dated, I was either introduced to or anything. And of course, I think you have to have that physical attraction.
Sure.
You have to have some kind of chemistry. I don't believe in the 3-date rule. If I didn't like you on the first date, I'm not going to like you on the third. And I get that. But do you feel that you guys sometimes don't get a chance to know each other because of this social media
Yeah.
situation? Do you think communication skills have suffered from that?
communication skills are terrible these days.
Are they?
I mean, a
Okay.
lot of these times, you'll be engaging in a conversation with someone and then poof, they're gone.
The ghosting. I love
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
ghosting.
but that's a thing these days because as you were saying, it's there's so many options and it's like, oh, well, this person's talking to me now, so I can go this way instead of, well, the first person might have been genuine and, actually trying to talk to you. So it's a lot of mixed messages.
It's curious. It's a whole. You have to come back and we have to talk about this more because I find it curious. I would love to do a study on follow like 10 couples of your generation and see what the divorce rate is comparing to what my generation's divorce rate would be, because you kind of not really, I don't think you guys know each other as well.
No, and I'm pretty matter of fact. Like when in person, I can joke around and be bubbly, but when I'm kind of just texting, I'm pretty matter of fact with people, and so I don't think stuff like that helps me out.
Mike and I were talking before the show, and I had him laughing. A lot of your world is virtual, and I know, and I don't understand. I like 3D. I just do. All right, we're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about other things with Mike. Yes, Mike?
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to a break, and we'll be back in a little bit.
Walsh Trading Inc. is located in the historic Chicago Financial District. Walsh specializes in building long-term relationships that assist you in your asset management needs. Given the long-standing bull market in equities, now may be an excellent time to look for uncorrelated opportunities in the futures markets. Let Walsh Trading offer you a free, no-obligation assessment that may prove fruitful in 2017. Walsh would remind our listeners that investments in futures contracts bear the risk of loss and may not be suitable for all investors. Be sure to review your financial situation before investing with Walsh Trading Inc. info@walshtrading.com. Call 1-800-993-5449. Let's face it, it's all about perspective. Is there really any difference between a man and a woman's take on things? Let's rejoin Amy and Mike on He Said, She Said, South Florida style to find out.
Hello, we were just having a little conversation by ourselves. Mike, are you still with me?
I'm here. Well, actually, I'm physically here in the Dominican Republic, but I'm
Mike is in the Dominican Republic, but he's calling in. And you could reach us at 1-888-565-1470 and talk about dating, talk about whatever's making your boat float. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, this is He Said, She Said, and you can get us on Facebook live right now or at our website, www.hesaidshesofla.com. Mike, talk to me about what's going on in the world today. You were very hot and bothered about that, and not in a good way.
Well, I look at the whole political scene today, and I think it'd be interesting to get Blake and Erica's comments on this.
I agree.
I think, when I see all the protests, the march, and there's people who are really against it, people are really for it, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful to have the march. No problem. It was very peaceful. It was great. But when I see these celebrities mouth off and and when I see SNL of all programs doing skits and things on a 10-year-old boy,
yeah, I agree. I think that's poor taste.
I think that is despicable. And I have a real, it's like, listen, that kid, I don't care if it was, the Obama's girls or Chelsea Clinton, kids are off base.
I agree.
Don't touch them.
I agree. I think, do you feel that way? I think that talking about the candidate or the president's children are off. It's off. It should be off limits. I don't care about the older ones, but when you got a 10-year-old who can't defend themselves,
well, it definitely should be off limits. And also, going back to the social media these days, everyone has an opinion, everyone has a voice. So you do something like that, and then someone else takes it to an even further level.
See, I have to say, as a woman in this country who has voted now in many elections, I think it was an important thing to do. But I have to quantify or qualify it with, this president that we elected now, whether you're for him or against him, he didn't start this fire. And I find it very almost antagonistic, because you look at his daughter and she's everything that, at least in my opinion, women should strive for. She's independent, she's bright, she's a college graduate, she's a hardworking mom. And I admire that. That being said, I don't think that just because you have celebrity, that it's okay to blanket and represent me. Because I love Madonna. I wanted to be Madonna. I had every outfit. I looked like Madonna, okay? I loved her. She was Italian, and she was crazy, and I had those outfits. But when you sit there and you use everyone in this room knows that I can be the most profane in the group ever at any time. I can
There's no doubt
swear
about
a
that.
sailor.
There's no doubt.
No, but I don't appreciate that as my representation, and I certainly
Well,
don't
Amy, I
think
have a
walking
question
around in a
for you.
vagina costume is going to make me be a woman. He didn't start this fire. If you want to talk about women and being put upon, I happen to like Bill Clinton. What they did and he did to Monica Lewinsky, to me, is far more of an outrage, where this woman ran out of town. She had to leave. She was bullied, cyberbullied. She became the brunt of a joke. That was a 21-year-old woman. I'm being honest with you. At 21 years old, if any president, even Hillary Clinton, if she became president, she wanted to be my girl, she wanted me to be her girlfriend, I would have been like, yep, okay. Because that's what women or men are.
But
You're
if you were-
just
if-
dumb
if
at
you were president,
21.
You'd have Blake as your intern.
I'm sorry?
If you were president, you would have Blake as your intern.
I sure would. I absolutely would.
It's
Would
not
be my
just-
favorite
it's not
intern.
just this.
Thank you.
I think these like the
Lot of
whole
late nights.
media. I have a real beef with the media. I have a real
Yeah.
beef with the media, and I think, you know what? I'm not defending Trump. I'm not defending him at all.
He's got a
But
couple
I
crazy
do
going
think
on too. I'm not saying he doesn't.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But
God bless his heart.
the media today is not the media of the 60s and 70s. The media of the 60s and 70s reported news, and sure, were there opinion pieces.
They
and
also
yada,
hid a
yada,
lot of
yada.
stuff.
But they weren't creating news. And today, 95% of the news that's on TV is all op-eds, and it's crazy. People think these op-eds are news. It's someone's opinion, and it's.
Well, I think the whole
you know-
thing, somebody said it very correctly. It's not the news, it's how they interpret the news or how they interpret what
Did
he
you see the
says.
report, what do you call it? The press. Remember the press of the White House press pool went into the Oval Office on day one on Saturday morning, whatever it was, and there were so many people in there. He didn't see the Martin Luther King bust of Martin Luther King in the Oval Office, and he went out and tweeted it, and that Trump is taking it out. Now, obviously, people got really angry
I
about
would
that.
have
How
too.
could you remove that? Well, sure, but he didn't see it,
I know.
and therefore, but it was there.
Exactly.
So,
But I
and
guess I
actually,
think, like you both had said, it's that moment in time. It's that instant gratification. If it's not there immediately, then it's not. It's very black and white. And unfortunately, the world is really full of shades of gray. And I don't mean
Right,
50 Shades of Gray. I just meant shades of gray. But how
that
do
was
you?
the first half of the program.
I know that's another program altogether. But as young Americans, how do you feel when they say, "Oh, he's not my president"? What does that make you feel like?
It's very discouraging, that, again, I'm not trying to get, all political about
No.
everything, but, obviously everyone has different beliefs, and, a privilege of living in this country is your freedom. And I understand if you might not like, president, but we don't all like our boss.
Right.
And he's essentially the boss of the country.
For
And,
now.
the second that he, defeated Hillary Clinton and became the president, then you kind of have to support him because he's the guy in charge. And if we all support him, that's going to be better than
Well,
half
I
of us
think
supporting
if
him,
you
half
want him
not.
to fail, then you want us to, as a
We're
country,
fail,
you
yeah.
want us to fail. I mean, I want him to do good because I want to do good.
Of course.
Are you?
I'll be the first person chastising and critiquing and criticizing. But the guy hasn't been in office for 72 hours. And it's like, please, come on, let the guy get in there. Let his cabinet secretaries. And again, I'm not defending him. I'm stating a fact. Like, I'm an opinionated person, and I had some very, very big beefs with the previous administration. But that wasn't from day one. That was after a couple of years and seeing different things I didn't like. But
Well, I
that
think you
has
make
no
a good
merit.
point, Mike, because I don't. For the 8 years that our last administration was in, and the 8 years before the other administration, nothing has changed for women, quote unquote. No one has made poverty any better. Things are pretty much status quo. So to say that because he's in, or if Mrs. Clinton got in, that it was their fault or they didn't change anything, give them a second to get
Here's
in
an
there and
interesting-
warm up the seat.
Here's an interesting thing, and now I will defend Trump because I like this today. On his agenda today, from what I saw on the web earlier, he was meeting with all the major union leaders today. Now, because he's not going into the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I don't, did Bush, when Bush was the president, did he meet with the union leaders on day one? Did Obama meet with the Christian Coalition on day one?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I could be wrong, but you know what? I think that's a good thing.
No, I think you're correct. I think, as we all think, give him a chance. The first day when you're the new sheriff's in town, you're not going to condemn him and take back his badge. You want to give him a minute.
And it's also important to educate yourself when you're voting on senators and governors and all of that, because they also kind of have a voice for you as well.
I just find it funny.
I
Celebrity is allowed to
100%,
say what they want, but because he's the president, he can't. I don't understand that, and I think that you're not going to sit here and tell me that that's fair or equal just because he's the president.
Here's a novel idea, and I mentioned this, Amy, on Facebook. I know you're on my Facebook page. Why not? Well, besides term limits, why not? And this will not happen. I know it's not going to happen. But instead of having the party affiliation for Congress people and for senators, why not just put their names and let the electorate get involved to understand what these people are for?
Because we are the people, and we should be.
We are the people.
We should be
Forget about the
involved a
party.
whole lot more with our representation. I agree. I think that you make a really good point. I really do. But again, we have the social media generation, so it's really hard. It's really hard. But on that note, I want to thank Blake the engineer, and Erica for helping me out today and not leaving me all by myself. Mike, I miss you. Are you going to be back next week?
I will be back
thank
live
God.
in person. I'll bring you back 6x6.
Yeah, I bet you will.
They're smoking next week.
I bet you will. Please join us next week and on He Said, She Said, and we'll talk about all kinds of crazy things. Like us on our Facebook page, please, and visit us on our website, www.hesaidshesaidsofla.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will be talking to you soon. Have a great week.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to and watching He Said, She Said South Florida Style. Join us every Monday at 6:30 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and 95.3 FM. Or watch live on Facebook, Periscope, or AMP2 TV to talk about hot topics and what makes opposites attract. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.